I want to just talk about Sir Patrick Vallance and something that has come to my attention. I know that my channel is about science, so if you don't want to hear about any of this political stuff, please move away now because you won't want to hear it. But I think it's important because my mind is geared for science. These issues are to do with science, so I want to just talk about them. During the COVID pandemic, Sir Patrick Vallance, who was Patrick Vallance before COVID, was the co-chair of SAGE. SAGE released an article under Spi-B. Now, I just want to read to you part of Spi-B. Options for increasing adherence to social distancing measures from Spi-B. Number 2, persuasion. Perceived threat. A substantial number of people do not feel sufficiently personally threatened. It could be that they are reassured by the low death rate in their demographic group. The perceived level of personal threat needs to be increased among those who are complacent using hard-hitting emotional messaging. Now, just think about that for a second. So Patrick Vallance was the co-chair of SAGE. SAGE implemented Spi-B. This is a direct reading off the government website of Spi-B. I spoke about this a lot during COVID, but the videos got taken down. So I just wanted to mention this now. The reason I'm mentioning this now is because it has something related to the aerosol injections that I want to come on to.
By far the most likely, in my opinion, from all the evidence I've seen, is that this is a zoonotic disease that spread from bats, and the most recent publication suggesting that samples of virus were found in the food market.
This is the last part I'm going to read from this Spi-B paper. Incentivization, social approval. Social approval can be a powerful source of rewards. Not only can this be provided directly by highlighting examples of good practice, communication strategies should provide social approval for desired behaviors and promote social approval within the community. So you know exactly what this means. If there's a group of people, they can easily out one of their friends by all saying, we have taken this specific thing and you haven't. This is behavioural control, and it was to lock down the entire country, and it was put in place by Sir Patrick Vallance. Sir Patrick Vallance has gone on record saying that he thought the lockdown should have happened sooner. I'm going to leave that to you to decide, because it's not just my opinion that matters here.
And I think it's likely, therefore, that measures need to be increased in some places in due course, not reduced.
I just watched 6 hours of Patrick Vallance give evidence to the COVID inquiry. He sounded clear, articulate, intelligent. His reasons for the lockdown were not to do with science, were to do with modelling. The person that did the modelling was a guy called Professor Neil Ferguson. Neil Ferguson, in 2002, predicted there would be 50,000 deaths from mad cow disease. I remember that. I remember being scared about eating meat because of mad cow disease. To date, 178 people have died from mad cow disease, not 50,000. In 2005, Neil Ferguson quoted his own words, 200 million people worldwide will die from bird flu. To date, 455 people have died from bird flu. This was all public knowledge prior to COVID, and multiple times in Patrick Vallance's evidence giving, he mentioned the modelling of Neil Ferguson. Neil Ferguson was called Dr. Doom and Dr. Lockdown by the press. Now, during the time that he essentially locked the entire UK down, he himself was meeting up with a woman. Now, I don't know if he's cheating or not, that's not the point, but he was meeting with someone during the lockdown when he had locked down 69 million people. He was breaking those rules himself. So how much resolve and belief did he really have in his own modelling? And here in 2025, Patrick Vallance is referencing this guy, Neil Ferguson, in his evidence for the COVID inquiry, saying that he followed Neil Ferguson's modelling and recommendations. And he didn't say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, I shouldn't have followed this modelling. He's backing up everything that he did. In 2022, Patrick Vallance was given a Knight Commander of the Order of the Bath. That was for his great work during the COVID pandemic as Chief Scientific Advisor.
Nice big smile.
In 2024, just last year in July, Patrick Vallance was made the Secretary of State for Science after completely getting all the numbers wrong during COVID and being a very clear proponent of the lockdown and pushing the government from the lighter approach that they once had to the much harsher approach of using behavioural control to tell people and to scare people, the words are on the government website, to staying indoors. He is now the Secretary of State for Science for the UK. And this is why I'm a bit worried. If all he went on was the modelling, he's now gone on record to say the only thing we have for sulfuric aerosol injection is modelling. Now, I've heard that before, and I'm very concerned that Patrick Vallance, will have some say in sulfuric dioxide being put into the stratosphere. And if he does, he'll want it to happen because he's the type of person that wants to have control. And I don't want to go too much deeper into it, but whatever's going on inside him is something that he feels he has the right to control a population. Now, Mexico have already banned sulfuric dioxide injection into the atmosphere because a guy who owns Make Sunsets let off sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere in Mexico. This week, Governor of Miami has banned sulfuric acid being put into the stratosphere, yet our politicians are still putting money into considering this.
He was concerned that there would be more than just the issue of the direct cause of death from the virus, that there would be indirect causes of death due to effects on the NHS, that there would be indirect harms due to people isolating, mental health, loneliness, issues of health that come from that procedure, and that there would be indirect long-term consequences due to the economic impacts creating poverty, which is a major driver of health. So he was definitely of the view that the treatment and the result of that treatment needed to be considered together, and that pulling the trigger to do things too early could lead to adverse consequences. And that, I think, is a totally appropriate worry from the Chief Medical Officer and a legitimate public health concern throughout. And I didn't have exactly the same worry. I was more on the side of we need to move on this. But I think that's partly why when the Prime Minister announced that there would be voluntary measures to keep people from making contacts, I also suggested on that day that London was so far ahead that it would be necessary to possibly lock down London.